what happens when feminism meets the boyfriend in modern dating, the 50-50 conversations, the emotional labor trap. Let's get into how patriarchy thrives on romance and what equality actually looks like between and beyond the sheets as a feminist dating.
Warning, listening to us
might radicalize you.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode, and as always it's me, your host Gil, and my gorgeous co-host Kat. Hi Kat, how you doing?
Hi. Hi, Gail. How are you doing? You are looking gorgeous today. Love the hair.
Thank you. I literally just got out of bed, so I'm a bit out of it right now, but yeah, bad bitches and all that.
Yeah, but
How
you
you
look
doing?
great. You look amazing, even though you just rolled out of bed.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm actually about to leave on a trip in 5 hours. We'll leave home. The flight is in some hours, but I will be going to Japan with my mom and my friend. And I am nervous as heck because, well, one, I heard that the public transport in Japan is extremely difficult to navigate. And I also heard that a lot of the signs in Japan are in Japanese, they're not in English. So I'm very nervous about that because I have a tendency to get lost, and my mom is even more directionally challenged than me. So, yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. I'm very nervous about it.
But on the flip side, is actually a very beautiful place. I feel like I don't know if everyone they would not accept it, but it's it's a dream destination. So it's amazing that you get to go and with your mom. So yeah, it's going to be fine.
It's also very expensive.
Oh, I did not know that.
Extremely expensive. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
But
you're an
speaking of
independent woman.
money,
You've got it. You've
speaking
got
of
it.
money, our episode, the soft life, who is paying for my trip? I'm paying for my trip.
Yeah. So in my part of the world, there's the tendency of when they see a girl who does a lot of things for herself, people just assuming that yeah, there's definitely a man behind this. There's definitely so like I currently live in a 2 bedroom place, and when people ask me and I say, "Oh, I live alone," and like, "Oh, who paid for it?" I paid for it myself. Who do you think you're talking
Yeah.
to? Like, who got you your phone? I bought it myself. Who bought you your MacBook? I bought it myself. Why does everything have to go
Yep.
back to a man sponsoring? I literally fucking do everything for myself. So yeah, speaking of our topic today, we are talking about soft life and who provides this soft life, because society has made it in a way where men are automatically positioned as providers and women are just takers. But hello, it's 2025. There are so many independent women out there doing amazing and big things. Look at Kat. Kat is going to Japan, and you heard her is extremely expensive, and she's taking her mom along. That's like double the expense, but she's got it because she's an independent woman. But
Oh.
oh, and you did a cute face. I think I think it's not baseless how a lot of people think, how a lot of men think when they see a girl who is doing certain big gestures for herself. It's not baseless. It goes back to dating. Even though modern dating has changed a bit, because the Vogue article that just came out about how having a boyfriend is now seen as embarrassing. I think
Yep.
every woman needs to go and read that article. It's insightful, and as a single woman, Kat, this is not to make you change your mind about what we were talking about, though. Because I don't want you to
What are
go
you talking about? I
there.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Good, good. But yeah, getting back on track, there seems to be this whole idea of, if you have a boyfriend, your boyfriend is automatically the financial provider. And we talk about it a lot. There are all these podcasts that have these like 50-50 conversation, and what do women bring to the table, and da 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 da. I think those are really annoying talking points and all that, but it's the reality. So, Kat, even though it feels as if this article, for instance, makes us know that having a boyfriend is like so embarrassing, and people like us are independent, we make our own money, spend our own money, are not dependent on a man's financial abilities. Is modern dating really reflective of feminist ideas, or is it just for social media aesthetics when people say I'm independent and I do not depend on a man and blah blah blah? What do you think?
I think it depends on the country, and it depends on which part of the world you're from, and it depends on what circle you're in. Because I also have noticed that my algorithm, for a while there, it kind of pivoted towards like the sprinkle kind of mentality, where they say that, oh, if your boyfriend, your partner doesn't provide for you, if the man doesn't bring financial gains to the table, then you shouldn't be with him. But then, I mean, for a while there, I was actually contemplating that, thinking that kind of makes sense in a way, because if a man doesn't provide for you financially, then what does he give to you in a relationship? Until I saw this post, that's when I realized that social media really, in a way, more or less, it shapes how you think. Because when I saw this post where they say that if you are a woman, if you are a feminist, and you think that men automatically need to be the provider, then you need to actually do some self realization and try to understand where you're coming from. Because the idea of thinking that men need to be a provider, it stems from patriarchy itself. I mean, we can say that, okay, what does a man bring to the table if not money? But then if you think about it like that, you're also relinquishing the power that a lot of feminists have fought for, right? The power for women to be financially independent, the power for women to exist in the workplace. I think that on the one hand, if you think that you want to be a stay-at-home wife, a stay-at-home partner, and take care of things, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a bad thing because women are not paid equal labor for, like, women have to do unpaid labor and we're not being paid for it. Things like taking care of the house, taking care of the children, taking care of the pets, cleaning, and all of that, we are not being paid for that. That's why it's being looked at as less. So if you think about the amount of money that you are saving, that you should have been paid, versus the amount of money that the man, the provider, the breadwinner of the family is being given, it's not like the woman is just sitting there at home doing nothing. She is also helping financially in the family. It's just that we value housework as being less than, because women are the ones doing it usually. But at the same time, I also think that it's a very slippery slope. It's very risky and dangerous when a woman relinquishes her financial power to fully fully depend on a man for financial support. I think it's very risky because a man can change his mind anytime. You do not want to be in a position where your livelihood will depend on whether a man still loves you. That is something that I could never put myself in that kind of position. I grew up in a household where my father used financial use finance as a way to control me and my mom, saying things like, oh, if you are using my money, if I'm paying for all of these things, you have to follow what I'm doing. You have to follow what I have to say, which kind of taught me early on that men really use finance as a way to control women. But at the same time, I do think that a lot of feminists are becoming more, a lot of people, a lot of women in general are becoming more financially dependent to the point where you can see that women are out earning men. In a lot of statistics, you can see that women are out earning men, and men are staying at home to take care of the household and all of that. But I read this book called Why Men Need Wives, why women need wives, something like that. It's a very good book. And they talk about how even when a man is not the breadwinner, even when the man is working part-time compared to when women are working part-time, men are still doing less housework in the household than women if they were working part-time the same as men. So I think men need to step up if they want to if they want women to do 50-50, or if they want women to be the breadwinner of the family, they need to step up and also bring something to the table in the form of doing labor, right? Emotional labor, doing labor in the household and all of that. I just went on a rant. What do you think?
I feel that I agree with everything you said, but I also do think that class and race cannot be totally taken out of context when we are having these conversations, because sometimes I do not totally agree with some of the rhetoric about, you should look for a rich man, you should look for a wealthy man, you should look for a man who can, support you financially, and a man who does not. Because coming back to my local setting in Ghana, and I'm not based in Nigeria, but we are so close, we are like sister countries, and I have a lot of social media mutuals who are Nigerians. I see a lot of Nigerian news and all that, and I'm seeing a rising trend in some of the Nigerian feminists where they are also preaching for women not to make space in their life for men who are not financially sound. Which, when you think of it from that angle, makes sense. Because why am I independent, and why will I settle for a man who is probably lazy and is not making any money at all? It's not that he's making very little money, or it's not that I'm earning more than him. He's barely making ends meet. So basically, if I'm with this man, I'm the one going to have to fully provide for this man. And the society in Africa, in Ghana, Nigeria, is set up in a way that even the broke men are very misogynistic, and so they treat women like shit still. So I mean, like, really, what's the point, for real? Because there are a lot of news articles where you see a man beat up the wife because she did not cook a cup of rice, or she did not cook it well, or the gas was finished and she did not find money to go and make sure that the gas is filled and they can cook money. So I think these conversations are very nuanced in that way. However, I do think it becomes problematic if you're a feminist and that's the only content you are pushing out, that girls need to be with rich men, because you are also not taking into account the power imbalance in relationships like that, where if the man is totally providing financially for the woman, then he has all the power to make decisions about her body, if they have kids, about their kids as well, which is very bad. It's terrible. But sometimes I do get where they are coming from, because I mean, look at me. Why will I settle for a man who maybe earns 10 times less than I do now? How are we going to cope? How are you going to manage? So I feel like I'm being paid okay right now. It's not like great, but I'm being paid okay right now. But if I'm to add someone else if I'm to get into a committed relationship and we decide to move in together and you are earning 10 times less than I do, who is expected to pay the rent? Me? No, hell no. So yeah, it's definitely a nuanced conversation.
I think you're right in bringing race and bringing class into the conversation, because we also have to acknowledge the reality that women are being paid less than men. So in many countries, in most countries, for the same amount of work, we know about the wage gap. Women earn less than men. So men just tend to make more money in general, which and in some cases, for example, in Cambodia, women don't always get high education, and because of that, the jobs that they can choose, the options of a career, would tend to be a lower career path than men. So they would need someone to kind of supplement that kind of income if they were to have a family, if they were to get married or anything like that, or even financially support themselves because of class, because of race. At the same time, regarding your point about moving in together, about being with a man who earns less than you, I think that can actually be remedied by talking about finances ahead of time before you move in together. I know that some people, they use a system where they do percentage, right? Like, okay, if I earn 30%, then I'm paying for 30% of the household expenses. If the other person, the other partner earns that 70% of the joint income of the total income, then they're paying for 70% more. But I do think that in this case, the person who's paying less needs to take on more responsibilities in the household. For example, for me personally, I actually don't mind earning more than the man. Personally, I would rather work and earn money rather than doing household chores and and emotional labor. Like, I would rather work for 12 hours than having to cook and do the dishes and doing all that kind of stuff. Like, just please do it for me. I don't mind earning more than you. I don't mind just adding a little bit of expenses over there. So I think partly probably because of how I was brought up, my mom, well, I have been financially supporting my mom for a while now, for some years now, and in exchange for that, she lives with me. So in exchange for that, she would do household chores, she would cook, all of that, and I like that kind of dynamic. I feel like, yeah, I financially support her, but she does everything else, so I don't have to worry about anything else. And I kind of like that dynamic because I hate household chores.
I perfectly understand you. So again, I made mention the roles that are upheld, patriarchal roles that are seriously upheld in this part of the world, in Africa, and people do not care. There are people living with their parents like you are, where the parents feel like, well, I'm the elder and I gave birth to you and I did this and that for you to grow up, and so I do not have to do anything. You are, all the responsibilities are on you. You have to provide for me financially. You have to come back from work and also make sure that there are things. And a lot of men are actually like that. Here, a lot of men feel like house chores are beneath them. However, they are also not interested. Even when they have money, some of them are not even interested in getting like people to help out in the house, like cleaners and people who will probably come to cook for them, because they want their wife to be a wife material. They want their wife to have like all these things. So yeah, the reality is definitely a big difference for some of us women in this part of the world. That's why a lot of times you see these conversations coming up a lot. But I'm also wondering, is it right as a feminist to go into a relationship with I need a provider mindset? Are you, where do we draw the line between you want someone to care about you. You want someone to love you in that way, and you upholding gendered roles that are harmful. Where is the line?
I do feel like, as I mentioned earlier, you need, if you go into a relationship with this kind of mindset, you need to look inward and see where is that coming from. Because a lot of women, even when you're feminist, a lot of feminists still have internalized patriarchal ideas, patriarchal stereotypes and stigmas and ideas, because whether we want to or not, we grow up in a patriarchal society, and there are so many things that we were conditioned to believe in when we were younger. We were conditioned to think a certain way about gender, about men, about relationships. So I think it's all about doing a lot of soul searching to see where is that coming from. Is it because you still have this idea that men need to be the provider and you as a woman need to do certain tasks, need to fit certain box, or is it something else, right? So it's about doing some soul searching to see where is that coming from. I do think that there is a little bit of a patriarchal thinking in going into a relationship expecting to want a provider, but at the same time, I also understand that it is capitalistic. We are living in a capitalism world. It's difficult to go to 9 to 5 to earn a living, to do all of that, to hustle, to go boss. It's very difficult. It's not fun. It is soul draining, especially if you are working in a job that you hate. So naturally, we would want a soft life. We would want a life that is less, something that we don't have to hustle in the capitalistic world, something that is less grueling. I understand that. But I think the problem here is not the women. The problem here is capitalism, right? It's not, sometimes women also go into relationships with a patriarchal mindset, but at the same time, this patriarchal mindset, it stems from capitalism, because working in a capitalistic world is difficult. You're not being paid well unless you're the top 1%. So yeah, I think if we can actually fix capitalism, which is a very long, it's a very difficult thing to do, we're still gonna have to have this kind of push and pull dynamic. What do you think?
So can I sort of say that having a wanting a provider as a feminist or as a man is a reaction to capitalism? Is that slightly accurate? But I do see where you're coming from. I'm very self-aware, so I also know I have some internalized patriarchy, because I've had that mindset for a while, that if I'm going on a date with a man, especially if the man asks me out on a date, I expect that he pays for the night, because for me, I was this is not in my budget. I did not plan to. It's different if I came to you and said, "Oh, let's go on a date." So that's sort of my mindset, especially when it comes to dates with men. The fact that you asked me, it was not in my budget. I was not planning to. I was very okay laying in bed or something. So if you insist on taking me out, in my head, well, you've made provisions for this, so you can cover it, because if you couldn't, why are you asking me out? However, I try never to go out without having backup on me, that just in case something goes sideways, I can pay for my own way. But I do definitely have this expectation of, if you ask me out on a date, since you are the one taking me out, you are the one footing the bill. And yeah, so I recognize that I have that mentality as well. I watched a video essay not long ago where this lady she was talking about how she's been trying to navigate her relationships, and she's a feminist. So she realized that she was doing a lot of 100-0 with men, where men do 100 and she does zero financially. And she realized how problematic that is if she calls herself a feminist. So she tried doing 50-50, but she realized that was also not working for her. It just did not sit right with her. So now she's just in a place where she's trying to figure it out based on the person that she's seeing. And I feel like I'm getting there. I will not lie and say I'm at that point, because now I still have expectations of, if someone is taking me on a date, I expect them to foot the bill. Because yeah, for me, my thought process is, I'm okay being in my bed. You're the one who wants to take me out, so I feel like you should pay for it. So yeah, I definitely do see where you're coming from, and again acknowledge that it's patriarchal. And even if you don't think so, you are still upholding patriarchal roles that society has pushed on us as women, and has pushed on men, that they are supposed to be the financial providers, because women can't be. Yeah. On to the next
I
question. Yeah, please go.
I do think that there's a difference between, for example, expecting someone, let's just say not a man, someone who asks you out and you expect them to pay because they are the one inviting you out. I think that that's valid because it's common courtesy, right? So you invite someone out on a date, then you should be the one footing the bill. Um,
Yes.
Not all the time, but it's expected. However, there is a difference between expecting that and expecting someone to pay just because they are a man. You see the difference here?
Okay.
One is you think that they should pay because they are the one inviting you out, but the other one is thinking that they should pay because simply because they are a man.
Okay. Okay.
They're different.
I
The outcome is
I
the
see
same,
it.
but the intention there is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. I hadn't thought about it that way before. I just thought, oh, I'm just one of the masses, and I'm expecting, because with that same thought in mind, even when my friends, my girlfriends, ask me that we should hang out, if I think it's
Mhm.
not in my budget, I'm not going to go out. Then I let them know, oh hey, you know what, this
Mhm.
and that. And so if you can foot the bill, I'm going to come. However, right now it's not in my budget. So there are times I go out with my girlfriends and they foot the bill because it's not in my budget. However, if it's a man, men can be very embarrassing, like, let's be honest. So if it's a man asking me out, I'm not about to tell this man that, you know what, it's not in my budget right now. And no, that's like, that's a lot of aura deducted from me. So I'm not going to have that conversation with him. But I'm going to expect that since you are the one who wants to take me out, you have made provisions to pay for whatever it is I'm getting if we go out. So yeah, I do see the difference now,
Mhm.
as you mentioned it. And circling back to, being an independent woman, do you think sometimes it's a pressure on women to be independent, and does it, do you think it pushes some of us to overextend ourselves to get to that part where it's like, yeah, you're a boss bitch and you're an independent woman? And because I'm feeling like there's a very direct correlation between wanting to be independent and not getting enough rest, because, like, I need to get this for myself. I need to make this for myself. So you are running around doing so many things in order to, like, get your own money and all that. I mean, it's nice having your own money, because if I want a wig that costs $300 or $400, I know that, yeah, I'm taking it out of my own money. I want 5 dresses that are around the same amount. I know that, yeah, I have my own money. I'm not going to ask a man and be embarrassed if he says no, or he's not coming to ask me any questions trying to get me to justify why I need these dresses or why I need to buy this sort of phone or whatever. So yeah, it's nice, but Is there some pressure in there, do you think?
I think that there is pressure, but going back to the whole point of this pressure, this conversation about hustle culture, I think the pressure for women to be independent is from capitalism. And I think the pressure extends more than towards women. The pressure extends to men as well. Like for once, I think that men also experience this problem because for most of us, working is difficult. For most of us, we earn less than we deserve. For most of us, our labor is being exploited. However, if we're thinking about this from an intersectional perspective, women do have it more difficult when it comes to that, when it comes to capitalism plus patriarchal, because this is an issue that is intersect. For men, they suffer under capitalism, but women, we suffer under capitalism plus patriarchy. For example, one, women are paid less than men, which means that the pressure for us increases because we have to work extra hard. Maybe it's extra hour, maybe it's extra job in order to earn the same amount as a man. So that's the first pressure. The second pressure is that we have to pay for the pink tax. We have to pay for a lot of necessities that men don't have to pay. We have to pay for things like menstrual products. We have to pay for things like getting an annual pap smear, getting contraception, a lot of things that we have to foot, the bills that we have to foot that men do not have to foot. So it's already putting that on top of being earning of earning less. So that's another layer of it. But then on top of that, we are also under pressure by capitalism plus the beauty standard to do things like we have to dress a certain way, we have to have all these outfits, whereas a man can go by with having 2 shirts and 2 pants, right? We are under pressure from society to wear makeup, and makeup costs a lot of money to do our hair to look a certain way. And I know that not every woman has to do all of that, but we are under a lot of pressure from patriarchy, from society, from capitalism to do that, and not every woman can defy that kind of pressure. So it's another layer of expense that we have to pay that men don't have to pay on. So things like that makes it even more difficult for women to become independent, and at the end of the day to have the same disposable income as men, disposable money, pocket money as a man, because we have to pay for all of that. And I blame that mostly on capitalism, but also patriarchy.
All right. So, this is another question for you. I hate that we have to do this, but the 50-50 conversation, in your opinion, in your expert opinion, as a feminist that I absolutely adore and admire, and as a progressive, if you're in a relationship and there's this whole 50-50 conversation, how does the emotional labor work? What's your ideal financial situation like?
So for me, I think first thing is about communicating with your partner, because every partner is different, every dynamic is different, right? So it's about having an open and honest communication about finances. Personally, for me, I don't mind 50-50 in certain aspects. For example, paying the rent or paying mortgage or paying things like utility bills, right? Those things that you share together, it should be 50-50, or at least very close to 50-50 in my opinion, because you do share that. However, things like going out, I have set this rule where if I'm the one picking, so we take turns picking places to go eat out, right? So if it's my turn, I get to pick where I want to go, and I would be the one paying for that, because then it kind of alleviates this pressure where, for example, if you're going 50-50 for everything, for the whole going out thing, then for me personally, I would feel a little bit guilty if it's their turn and I pick an expensive restaurant, right, that they had no say in, that they would have to pay extra for that. But I don't honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't like feeling owing anyone. I don't like to feel like I owe a man anything. So if I'm the one picking and I'm the one paying, then I can see my own budget. I can see, okay, this time of the month, I can only afford this level. So I have more control over where I'm going, where we're eating, and all of that. And he also has control over that. And I feel like that kind of dynamic works because you have a say in it. You have equal say in where we're going, and you have equal say in how much you're spending. Um, and I think that when it comes to emotional labor, you also have to see, for example, if you're in a relationship where you earn more than your partner, where if I'm in a relationship where I earn more than my partner, I expect them to put a lot of emotional labor, more labor than me. Like I said, I'm lazy. I don't like to do household chores. So I would expect them to do a lot more of that. Whereas in a relationship where if you're more equal, then I would say that the emotional labor or household labor, unpaid labor, then you kind of need to split it. You kind of need to work together on that. But I mean, honestly, if I had to choose between being financially provided for or having act of services performed for me, I would rather have act of services performed for me than having to be financially supported.
Provider.
Like, fetch me stuff, please. Fetch me water. Cook for me. Do things for me. Give me a foot massage. All of that, please. I don't care about finances. Just do all the things for me. Treat me like a queen in terms of acts of services. I
God,
want that.
it's giving mistress energy. It's giving dumb energy. It's so is like it's giving you want to sub, and I love that. But I perfectly agree with you. I watched a video recently where a lady traveled with her romantic partner, and then she misplaced her lip gloss, and so he went with her to get the lip gloss, and she ended up getting three lip glosses. I mean, it's lip gloss. How much will it cost? And right after that, the man decides that he wanted to get a sweatshirt, and they get there, and the sweatshirt is about $150, and he's like, "Oh, you're getting this for me, right?" There's an imbalance, and now it's also given you want me to pay you back for getting me lip glosses, which is it's crazy. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. But to end our conversation, what does soft life for a feminist, how will it look like in practice if we as feminists in the modern dating era are going to uphold this? How are we going to navigate it? I think from my end, I would say that we really need, I get it, capitalism, but we, if you can, if you're in a position to, we really need to move away from only thinking that having a man who is financially providing is all you need for a great relationship. Where is the emotional safety? Are you emotionally safe in your relationship? Do you feel like if there's something worrying you, you can talk about it with your partner? Does he allow you to communicate? Do you physically feel safe? Do you feel like this is someone I can trust? So it's about time we move beyond just like the conversation of, I'm being cared for and it's always about money. No, that's not just it. Also, like Kat mentioned, we need to have more conversations about our finances, especially if you are cohabiting with a partner, so that the care that you provide for each other is not just measured by finances, but also by the shared responsibility both of you happen to take in the house. And people need to start thinking of their relationships as some form of partnership, not just, someone I'm here to either possess because I'm the provider and they are dependent on me, or someone who is here to save me. It's not just about that. I do acknowledge and get how for a lot of women who come from like very poor backgrounds where there's also abuse, I get the appeal of running from where you're coming from into like the arms of a man who can provide for you financially while he's also abusing you. But in the long run, is this sustainable? Is this something that we can do? So these are my pointers. This is how I feel like soft life in modern dating relationships, especially for feminists, can look like. What are yours, Kat?
Yeah, so I completely agreed with you when you were talking about how the soft life is not just about money, it's not just about finances, but it's also about other aspects of the relationship as well. For example, I like being able to work. I like being able to earn my own money. I like being able to buy whatever the heck I want and spoil people. I love spoiling people. My friend hates it because she always feels guilty, but I love buying gifts for my friend. I love just showering her with stuff. But it's kind of why, for example, with gifts that I get from people, I would prefer something that's handmade. Because if it's something that I can buy from a store, if it's something from a store, yep, if it's something from a store, then technically I can buy it as well. I don't need you to buy that for me. I can go buy it myself. But if it's something that I can't do on my own, it's like, for example, if you're hand making me this little book nook, like my friend, she gave me for my birthday, I believe. She got me this whole book nook where it took her hours just to assemble it. For me, that's an act of service. For me, that's an act of care and love, because you're literally spending hours of your life painstakingly by hand assembling this whole thing for me that I'm not gonna do for myself. So for me, having that's the kind of gift that I want. A little pivot there, but soft life for me is more than it can be being financially provided for by someone. But like you said, you have to feel secure in that relationship, and you also have to make sure that you have a way out, because always leave yourself a way out. Maybe have a secret account, bank account, or anything like that, to make sure that if the relationship turns sour, you are not at a point where you cannot leave the relationship. But also at the same time, I believe that a soft life can come in the form of being, maybe like you said, being a mistress, being a dom, just being cared for. You just come home and have everything ready for you. When your partner is just giving you a foot massage and just doing everything for you. I think that can also be a form of soft life for me, because then you don't have to worry about, you don't have to do the mental labor, you don't have to do the emotional labor, because you know that your partner is taking care of you in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with everything you said. I love it. And yeah, this has been an insightful episode, and I hope a lot of women and feminists get to watch this. Yeah, thank you for joining us today. And if you are watching, don't forget to leave a comment if you want to, and share and subscribe to our channel. Also, you can listen to us on any podcast app that you have: Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever it is that you have. You can listen to us on there as you clean or do your chores, or just get your daily work in. That's totally fine. You can also follow us on social media at Unholy Feminists on TikTok and Instagram. Until the next episode, thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.